right, we will get started. Please find a seat. Appreciate everyone we don't usually have a crowd, so we are really excited to have you guys here. In case this might be one of your first council meetings, this is actually committee meeting for us, so there's no public input. We all meet together as a committee because we're a small town, but you'll see the chairs kind of go around and announce their committee members, and so has some formality to it, but this is a conversation for us, and so we just ask for you not to clap or make any noise. We're doing city business, but we do appreciate you all being here. So I will kick us off with the Public Works Committee. This is ran by Chair Lane.
I call to order the Public Works Committee. Present are myself, Lisa Lane, Catherine James, and Sherry Mara. Do I have a motion to approve the April 7th Public Works minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Director Tate.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Good evening.
I just have a couple of quick updates here. United Way was scheduled for a workday, Hands on Greenville. That was scheduled for this past Saturday. And due to, I think, some volunteer participation, other obligations, we had to cancel that. So hopefully we can get that rescheduled. We're working with a glass provider for the recycling to get an event on the calendar for May. And as soon as that date is determined, that will be announced. Oliver Tittle, the Eagle Scout, those planners have been completed. We'll be holding those for about 2 weeks at the shop to kind of get them acclimatized to the watering, and then we'll move those out on Main Street. I think there's a couple that's left to be adopted. So if you know one or someone has some interest in that, please send them his way. The planters at the gazebo are scheduled to be replanted this week. The hanging baskets are scheduled to go up on Wednesday up there. We have new swings going in up there at the gazebo this week. This has the TR logo, and you may have already saw one of them. It's already been installed, but it has the TR logo on the back of the swing there. Just a little bit of upgrading there to kind of beautify the downtown area. So I'll take any questions that you may have at this time.
Thank you. Does anyone on the committee have any questions?
Yes, I was going to ask. Do you want to go? If someone adopts the actual planner, does that mean that they are just sponsoring with funds, or are they responsible also for keeping flowers alive?
They will actually be funding the flowers there,
Okay.
and we will be watering, and we'll schedule the plantings through
The care
one of the
we'll
garden
do
clubs.
as a city.
Yep.
And the swings that we're doing at the gazebo,
Mm-hmm.
are we going to be updating the ones in front of City Hall? Because I think those are metal, correct?
Those are
And
metal.
These are the wood.
The ones at City Hall here at this building have not, they're not scheduled to be replaced.
Okay.
We may do some treatment on them and kind of spruce those up here as well. That's actually a teak wood, and it's supposed to be a long-lasting deal there. So we can look into that for sure. Thank you.
That answered my question. Thank you.
Poinsett project. I'm going to ask every time where we at. Update.
The last conversation I had with the contractor out there last week, the update that was sent out, they have completed the asphalt for one lane. They're going to shift it and close the lane that was originally closed at the beginning to go back and to make the tie-ins on each. They're a little bit short on each end of the project, and they're going to close that lane to tie that back in. And then once that's done, they'll open that side up, and then they'll come down towards Center Street. They're probably looking at 4 or 5 weeks completion out there, weather permitting.
How are the businesses doing?
Um,
Is it going?
as far as I know, they're doing okay. We're supporting them all we can with signage and, advertisements and supporting them along the way.
Well, I appreciate y'all working with them. If they have any problems, they've emailed and you've responded extremely quickly. So appreciate that.
Thank you.
Does anyone on the council have any questions? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Philip.
Thank you, Chair Lane. Now we'll move into our Public Safety Committee. Chair Byers.
I call to order the Public Safety Committee meeting for May 5th. Present are myself, Shanice Chris, Wayne McCall, Sherry Mara, and Brantley Vest. Do I have a motion to approve the April 7th minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, Chief Ward.
Good evening. The report, you have the report. The only thing I'd like to add to that is it shows a rather large spike in the Walmart service calls. So those are some suspicious vehicles that were there. One car got broken into. There was another vehicle theft that they thought the car was stolen, but it turned out not to be. So that's what some of those jumps in percentages this time.
Great, thank you. Anything else you want to highlight on the report?
Nothing here. I would like to say we are fully staffed, and our newest employee is here with us tonight. I'd like to introduce her to you, if you don't mind. Morgan Smith.
Morgan, welcome.
Thanks for joining
She's
us.
already started her legals through the academy, the videos and the legals, so she's on top of things, getting started quickly. So just wanted to introduce her to you, and we're glad to have her.
Great. Does anyone on committee have questions for Chief Ford? Anyone on council? Well, thank you. I know the staff have had to help respond to calls outside of our jurisdiction lately around Furman, and we're really grateful for your service and cooperation.
Yes, absolutely. Would like to point out those license plate reader cameras came in very handy. SLED said they needed those to solve that case, so it was great. So it worked out well for them and us, so.
Glad to hear it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chief.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, or is it time?
Oh, wait,
You
just
want to do
kidding.
fire? Yeah. Don't cut Mac out. You get
Cut
his
him out.
feelings
Everybody
hurt.
Good evening.
Hey, Chief.
We'll go report.
Do you have anything that you'd like
I
to
just got a couple of
highlight
things
for
right
us?
quick. This year, and I may have already mentioned this, if I did, I'm just going to reiterate it because it takes all our staff to this. We have received the Community Risk and Reduction Award again for the city this year. It's 4 years running. Takes the whole team effort to do that. It's kind of a long process. Excuse me. Also, we just received a grant for $13,050 through the State Fire Marshal's Office called a V-Safe grant. We apply for it every year. And so this year it was split between departments that received it. It's, like I said, it's $13,050. And what we'll do with that is replacement some turnout gear and some medical bags is what we'll replace with that.
Split with the police department?
No, it's split with other fire departments.
Oh,
All
other
over the
fire
state,
departments,
Yeah, all
gotcha.
over the state did apply it. So there's a pool of money that they have for it. You apply and then they select their.
Great.
Actually, the third year we've gotten that, yeah.
Does anyone on the committee have questions for Chief?
I have a comment. I didn't see your smiling face up at Gap Creek yesterday. No, it's a little bit out of our jurisdiction up here, but the good folks up in Cleveland River Falls area, they had a little appreciation day yesterday for was yesterday was Firefighters Day or was it wasn't?
International Firefighters Day.
And just a little throw out here, the guy that's the chief up there at River Falls is a former firefighter here, good friend of all of us. And I'd like to say thanks to all of our guys that responded to Table Rock and Persimmon Ridge fires. And I think, that was a huge, huge thing. And when something like that just goes to show how when people work together,
Absolutely.
you can make big things happen.
And we've got good automatic aid and mutual aid agreements all over the county, so, I mean, yeah, we all get together. That actually had people from all over the state and out of the state.
Does anyone on council have questions for Chief? Okay, thank you. Right. You all have seen the building department report, and Shannon, do you have anything you want to highlight regarding building or municipal court?
Chair Byers, thank you. Just quickly, we are steady in construction with the White Hawk Meadows. You will also note a little pickup in a couple of commercial projects. Those are at Furman University.
Great. Does anyone on committee have questions for Shannon? Anyone on council? Okay, thank you. Now may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, thanks, Chair Byers. Next, we have Planning and Development Committee Chair Vest.
Okay, boring old planning and development. I call to order the Planning and Development Committee meeting. Members present, myself, Brantley Vest, Grant Baumgardner, Kelly Byers, Shanice Chris, and Sherry Mara. Would entertain a motion to approve our minutes from April 7th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Jay, do you have a review for us for the April Planning and Development report?
Yeah, the report we put together, a couple things I wanted to point out. Spring Park has started construction, so I think it's 6 building permits that have been issued for Spring Park. Whitehawk, as previously stated, continues moving forward. I want y'all to know that Phase 1B, the second part of the first phase, is right at getting the final plat. The cost estimate was approved from Mitchell Security, so those lots should be coming online soon. And they're starting to look at Phase 2 and the development at the back part. That will come before Planning Commission. When it does, I do not believe that comes before council. This is just straight zoning. And then the refuge has a proof roll on Friday. Paving should be next week. Those guys have worked really well with the neighbors next door, where they had to take out the mailbox and put in a new one. They're moving it up the hill a little bit and should work out better for everybody. That's
you for
all
that.
I have for this report.
Any questions regarding the report from committee members?
I just had a quick question, not considering that. The Spring Park Inn house, it's paved. Do we have a timeline on when the lines are going to be done on the parking lot of Spring Park Inn Historical House?
Oh, yeah, okay. I had to flip switches there
Sorry, I
real
know,
quick.
Spring Park-ish.
It is coming up. I don't recall, Philip, do you recall the exact dates? It was like within a week or two, but there's a couple things that have to happen. One is there's some landscape planting, there's lighting that needs to occur, and then they're going to get them in to do the striping. So they're right at the end. There's a few things that just need to get done and button it up, and they all happen within the next few weeks.
Okay, thank you. Correct, rain, thank you.
Anyone else on the committee have questions for Jay regarding item 4C, which is the review of the April Planning and Development Report? All right, moving on, item 4D. I just want to say to the committee, we do need a motion and a second to have discussion, but does not obligate your vote, so I just want to start there. I'd like to make a motion to send TR 25-03 RZ and corresponding development agreement to council for consideration.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Grant. Just going to give a quick description. I'm going to ask Administrator Herman if she would give us a summary of the development agreement, and then we can open it up for all, for the committee first. The applicant, Krup Patel of Paris Mountain Association LLC, requests a zoning map amendment, including the annexation and rezoning of property located at 2221 Altamont Road and Old Buncombe Road in Greenville County. The request is that parcel 0477000100701 be annexed and rezoned from ESDPM Greenville County to FRD Travelers Rest, and that parcel 0476000100108 be annexed and rezoned from RM20 Greenville County to FRD Travelers Rest. This failed Planning Commission's recommendation 5-1. Staff recommended approval of the project. And also, as I stated earlier, the annexation and zoning request includes a development agreement, which is also under our consideration, and want to ask Administrator Herman to give us a summary of that.
Chair Vest, members of the committee, thank you so much. A quick summary of the development agreement in front of you. It's comprised mainly of three elements. First is the development of the hotel. Second, the construction of public space and amenities, which has commonly been referred to as nature preserve. And third, funding for the construction and maintenance of the public space and amenities. First, the developer has 12 months from the date of the agreement to obtain all permits and approvals, including hotel brand and management, to begin design, construction, and management of hotel operations. Commencement of construction is to begin within 90 days from receipt of any of these approvals. The developer has 5 years to complete all construction. Hotel components are comprised of the following: luxury 4-star Marriott hotel or equivalent, no more than 155 guest rooms, a banquet hall, resort-style pool with outdoor bar, rooftop restaurant with indoor and outdoor seating, spa, exterior gathering spaces accessible to the public and hotel guests, and adequate parking. All design standards are to be consistent with the approved statement of intent. The city reserves the right to create, in its discretion, a design review board to review and approve construction, design, and materials to ensure the visual and aesthetic character and economic value of the hotel. At a minimum, the developer is required to have an investment of $61.5 million, of which approximately $59 million is to be allocated to the hotel and $2.5 million allocated to the public space project. All design standards are to the standards of the Statement of the Intent, city's building and development standards, and compliance with architectural standards of a 4-star luxury mountain lodge as outlined in the document. Any after-hours construction is to be approved by the city administrator or her designee. Part 2, public space property. The developer is to design, construct, and install public improvements on public space. The developer is to construct at the developer's expense roadways providing access to the public space property pursuant to the city's street standards, public parking sufficient to serve the public space project, hiking and pedestrian trails, and trails connecting to the city's infrastructure, a public space amenity including restrooms. The construction is to commence 60 days after the final approval of the development agreement. Construction is to conclude on or before 36 months following the construction commencement. Prior to commencement of construction, the developer shall secure a payment and performance bond for the construction of the public space and public amenities above, and name the city as a protected party until the completion of construction and acceptance by the city. Public space and improvements are to convey to the city at no cost to the city. The city then becomes responsible for the day-to-day staffing, operation, and maintenance of the public space property, and must develop a mutually agreed-upon budget with the developer every 2 years, provide for the landscaping and groundskeeping, structural repairs and routine upkeep of improvements, trash collection and waste management, cleaning and safety operations, and sidewalk maintenance, including connections from public space to other city infrastructure. The third component, the public amenities contribution, is a self-generated option provided by the developer for the initial 10-year period of hotel operations, after which the city will assume full responsibility of the costs of the public amenities. The developer is to initially pay to install the public amenities on public space. The developer is to impose a public amenities contribution of not less than 2% on all lodging and event rental revenues once the hotel opens. The developer is to maintain these funds in a segregated account similar to what is used for hospitality and accommodations tax, and then deposit the funds into a segregated public amenities contribution account maintained by the city exclusively for the purposes outlined above. The contribution is to be applied to the total cost incurred by the developer for construction of the public improvements, not to exceed $2.5 million. Any construction costs exceeding $2.5 million will be at the developer's expense. The city repayment of the developer construction costs from this fund is to occur at an agreed-upon annual prorated basis. Until the public amenity contributions are collected, the developer shall reimburse the city the full amount of the cost of public improvement maintenance per an agreed-upon budget. Any remaining funds at the end of the 10-year period become the property of the cities.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's open it up for discussion for committee members.
I'll start.
Okay.
Mr. Patel, I had some questions for you. I don't know if you want to do the microphone. First of all, thank you for your team being here and for you. One of the questions I have is about Altamont Road. Do you have a plan for an egress, an ingress? I know that road is very narrow and windy and not a lot of side, but there's kind of been, I've seen it, but I don't know if we've talked about it.
Yes, ma'am. So right now, our current proposal does show one ingress-egress access point along Altamont Road. We are proposing improvements along Altamont Road by way of a turn lane to accommodate our development, but we are showing one point of access off of Altamont.
Does that need to be approved through SCDOT before it can happen?
Yes, ma'am.
If
So
they say no-
SCDOT would have to approve an encroachment
Okay.
permit, which is still a step that would have to take place after the fact. Currently, SCDOT has reviewed our preliminary drawings with the traffic impact study and has indicated that we do fit within the ARMS manual provided by the state.
One other question I was going to ask you, the parking. We've talked about the numbers as far as parking spaces being 180. With the special events, what is your plan to have more parking if needed for special events?
Yeah, so we've looked into that deeply. One of the things that we've considered with our civil engineering team is having reinforced grass areas, which we're already doing to accommodate emergency access around the entire property. But by doing so, would accommodate parking potentially along some of the grassways. But those are options and alternatives that we are actively considering. However, we do feel that we have adequate parking here on site to accommodate all of our uses, just simply given that the hotel won't be at 100% occupancy, at any given point. And so that, going into the counts and what we anticipate, we do feel that we've adequately accommodated that on site.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you share more about the enforced grass parking, where that would be?
Yeah, so again, those are just alternatives that we're looking. We have not identified exact locations, but the areas that we are knowingly reinforcing are directly around the building where we have some outdoor lawn space around the back. Sorry, I'm visualizing here, but if we're coming off of Altamont Road or on the back side of the hotel, currently there's an event lawn space. We are reinforcing that and having access for emergency vehicles to be able to accommodate their building height access.
Anyone else on committee have questions?
Yes, I do. Did you have some?
Yep.
Great. My personal major concerns are environmental, and I believe a lot of the concerns that have been addressed in our previous conversations and through the community can be mitigated. Could you be more specific about the environmental mitigations you plan to implement and how the oversight will happen on those measures?
Yeah, so currently, the biggest environmental and protections that we're proposing is just when you look at what the development rights exist or where they exist in the current allowable zoning. We're saying that we recognize that those are the areas that have the most potential for wetlands and other impacts. So we're asking that we restrict any development in perpetuity to ever happen there, and in exchange, we exchange our development rights on our parcel next door further up the mountain. So when you look at that, those are the first and foremost ways that we're thinking that we're protecting the environment. And then secondly, when you look at the zoning that's currently there within Greenville County, even within the ESDPM, there are no additional studies or tree surveys or anything that's required currently for a development plan, whereas coming into the city of TR with FRD, they will require rigorous tree surveys, natural resources inventories, a lot more studies on the actual property that ensure that there are no other alternative impacts to the environment that are unseen.
Could you tell me your plan for stormwater? Because there's a lot of concern about that.
Yes, ma'am. So again, when we go through this commercial development, it will require us to go through a stormwater mitigation plan with the Greenville County. And so any impervious space that we have, whether it's building space or parking space, anything that we disturb and make impervious, we'll have to capture all of the runoff, treat it on property, and then release it at a rate at or below the rate before the development. And so currently we're proposing an underground detention pond that will be located on the opposite side of Altamont, it'll be located on the opposite side of the side facing Furman University and all contained within our parking lot that we're currently proposing on top.
If there's a lot of water, like a big storm incident, what would happen to the overflow or more water than normal?
Yes, ma'am. So currently the detention system is designed to withhold a 100-year storm event, which is the largest storm event that could be found in recorded history. And so, we do plan to accommodate.
Is that Helene?
I'm sorry?
Was that Helene?
I believe that was considered a once-in-a-century storm, yes,
Yep.
sir. And so, when something like that was to happen, the storm, in theory, is designed to be able to adequately accommodate.
Would there need to be blast construction to do the underwater storm, or the storm water underground?
In our current preliminary geotechnical exploration, we don't believe that any rock mitigation will be required in our current development plan.
When you initially applied, you were looking at a large septic system for the hotel, and since you've gotten, permission for sewer, where do you stand with
Yeah,
your
so
plans?
since our public meeting and our submittal, we had deep conversations with REWA just to go back and finalize our calculations. And in those calculations, REWA actually thought that it would be adequate for us to be able to have a pump station, which they were originally withholding the approval for a pump station for this project. But they've since given us that, which gives us the right to tie into the existing sewer. And so that is currently our proposed route, is to put in a pump station that would be maintained by Metro and tie into existing public sewer system.
And you would bear the cost of that pump station?
We would bear the cost to construct. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Patel, do you have an estimate of what that would be? And tell us like where you're going to be tapping into, since I know that sewer is not currently on the mountain. So do you have an idea of where it's going to be and cost to do that?
Yes, ma'am. So currently, without without a pump station design, we don't have a true cost, but pump stations historically for us have been anywhere between about $700,000 to about $1 million for the actual system and the offsite system needed to install and tie in. We are currently being allowed to tie into an existing storm drain manhole that will sit near, and I'm sorry, I say this park wrong,
Poinsett?
Poinsett Park, yes, ma'am, I'm sorry, along Old Buncombe Road. I keep mistaking it for Trailblazer, I'm sorry.
If the development is over $60 million, what is the plan after that? Because I know right now, the plan is for a $60 million hotel. If it costs more than that, what would be the plan to continue, or would there be alternatives?
As of now, we feel that we've done a very good job underwriting to this budget, but if there are any overages, those would be the liability of us, and we would feel that we would be in a place to cover those should those arise.
I want to go back to the sewer for a second. Sewer is a way to foster growth in a community, so that is something that residents are sensitive to, of if this annexation went through, that it could lead to others. Can you talk about where the sewage pipes would go and
Absolutely.
how
So
others might be able to tap in or not?
Absolutely. So the pump station would actually fall within my property, but the force main would fall within the DOT right-of-way. In theory, that would fall within other property owners' land. However, typically, one would not be allowed to tap into a force main. They would need it to be a gravity line in order for them to be able to have ability to tie in. So the only theoretical place for someone to tie into our system would be at the pump station or within any of the existing gravity lines within my property, which would require an easement from us privately.
Kind of along the lines of recycling and waste, do y'all have a plan to recycle things or environmentally with the things that you use, like for the hotel?
Yes, ma'am. So our normal standard practices would entail, clean environmental practices. So environmentally safe practices like recycling, trash recycling, and practicing safe tendencies for laundry services or light practices. Things like that would be implemented in ongoing operations. Absolutely.
So, no, a lot of people are concerned about construction and roads and things of that nature. How does the construction for the hotel compare to construction of homes as far as getting materials to the site?
Yes, ma'am. Currently, we're proposing our hotel to be a stick-built building, which is a 4-story stick frame, which in theory is no different than any of the homes that are currently being framed. Some of them have way more complex design materials, but this is the most basic construction style there is with wood frame. So we feel that we wouldn't be requiring any, crazy construction equipment to accommodate our studies. The mountain has already accommodated development practices that we would be utilizing.
Crew, I just want to take an opportunity while you're here to say thank you very much for all that you've done to bring this. I just, a couple of blocking and tackling things that I think just need to be said. One is you absolutely had a right and have a right to come in and ask for this, right? You've met all the conditions that are required. Our city staff, fantastic job putting all this together. This is a lot of work. I mean, TR, very small. We have, what, 51 employees, maybe 55?
60,
60.
10 in office.
Okay.
10 who are not firefighters or police officers.
That's it. So we have a very small and mighty staff, and they've done a terrific job. One thing I'd love to talk to WYFF and Fox about, and this is maybe saying too much, but Greenville County has taken an action against this development before it was even officially applied for. That is a wild move. So this is our actual first time to sit down and talk about this. So for me, the two big questions: is it a good thing for the city of Travelers Rest? Number one. Number two, does it fit the surrounding land use? Number two is debatable, and the staff has put together a fantastic development agreement. I think our council would say we're a little shocked that it's as good as it is, right? So for me, I just want to say thank you for that. Thank you to our staff. The question number two, to me, again, does it fit the surrounding land use? I'm having a hard time with that part. And so that's where I'm at. But I wanted to say thank you. I think there's been a lot of unfair things with you, particularly with our mayor. She's taken the brunt of a lot of this. Now, I love community support, the rallying. It's been great. And it's been impactful, quite honestly. It's been really good. There's parts of this thing that have been really good and parts that have been really ugly. So as our committee knows, because of some of the action, because of the action taken by the Planning Commission, it does require a three-quarters majority vote of council, but it first has to get out of this committee. And so I just wanted to, again, take my time, which is the first time we've all had to speak publicly about this. We've gotten 700 emails. There's a button that someone's pushing to send us emails. So if you did not get a response from me, I got 700 emails that were literally just the same verbiage, right? So probably things have been missed. Maybe a note for next time. But thank you for all that you have done. I appreciate it.
And I would like to say thank you to the city and the staff for providing just a fair opportunity as a landowner. You know, all I can ask is for a fair opportunity to practice my rights, and you guys have given me that platform, so I really appreciate that.
Totally agree.
And thank you.
Are you going to open this up to the rest of council?
I will open it up to the rest of council if committee has said their bit.
I have one more question. The home that currently resides on the property, can you just remind us of what the intent of that
Yes,
is?
ma'am. Sorry. The intent currently is to repurpose that space as the new spa amenity on site.
So in my conversation with Ted, I asked where he was moving, and he said he wasn't. So can you address timeline on that?
Yeah, so we're still, again, it's once we get through the annexation is when we go back and address kind of his move. Truthfully, that was originally not the intent. Our intent was to keep the house there and develop this, the hotel around it. But after seeing the plans, I believe Mrs. Smith had a liking, and so we've since had the realization of the spot. But that is currently the intent. Again, we are annexing all of it just because it is all in one parcel. But yeah, those are all things that we will, as far as like the move and all that, will be worked out at a later point.
Thank you.
Mr. Patel is going to ask, first of all, I want to say I concur everything that Brantley Vest has said. On that note, we really haven't talked about the 20 acres that's going to be a preservation. Can you talk more about the steepness of the road, how it's going to play into the watershed that's currently on property?
So as far as the road serving just the nature preserve, we're currently proposing that road, and I'm sorry, statement of intent actually does to go into the exact detail of the road slope. I want to say it's about a 12 to 15% inclination is the max inclination that will be allowed from Old Buncombe to access the nature preserve. And then that roadway will just be a 50-foot narrow roadway with one lane in, one lane out. And then that will serve about 30 parking spaces around the top.
That road is plan to be straight right now?
Currently, yes, ma'am. Our property does conform to having a straight access road in, and then it kind of has a loop around up at the top.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we'll open up to full council if you've got any comments, questions of staff or crew or statements you'd like to make.
I just want to ditto what Brantley said as well. So thank you, and thank you, the staff and mayor, for the job that you have done that is what you're supposed to do. So thank you. The question that I have is how much will the event space, how many people will it hold at one time? I know that's kind of gone back and forth, so.
Yes, ma'am. Currently, in our initial drawings, we are proposing a 7,500 square foot space for the banquet area within the indoors of the development. That typically can accommodate up to 750 people in the ballroom, according to just design code. And then we do have an exterior ballroom, or excuse me, an exterior event lawn. I'm so sorry. And then that has the space to accommodate roughly 500 people, or 5,000 square feet.
And then the payment performance bond, is that different from a surety bond, or what's, I don't know if you want to stand and answer that question? or-
Councilmember Lane, that's a typical vehicle used by municipalities in order to ensure that the construction is completed, regardless of the financial outcomes of the developer at the time.
I had a question mainly for you, Shannon, around what if this development doesn't check all the boxes? So what if Marriott or a luxury equivalent doesn't come through? Could you just walk us through the process of what the city would have for recourse?
Mayor Amadon, thank you for that question. So the the development agreement does require approvals and brand standards. And the development standards that are put into place require that as well. So the applicant would not receive their approvals, and the property would remain, should it be annexed, would remain inside the city with the flexible review district design requirements on it, which meet all of the standards that we discussed before. The applicant would either have to meet those standards in order to continue and receive construction approval, or it would not be developed.
Or they would have to come back to us with a whole nother plan.
Correct. In
Yeah.
order for a flexible review district to be altered in any way, shape, or form, outside of what's inside the FRD, it comes back through the entire review process. So you're back to the public information session and leading up to a planning commission, and then back through the entire process.
My concern is if we annex it and the hotel doesn't happen, and then 5 years down the road, I mean, a new council, new planning director, new planning commission, like, it can really become anything that TR decides. Is that correct?
Councilmember Lane, so as with any zoning that has a request come through that comes through the public process, the sitting bodies that participate in that process would have purview per the city's code.
Right, so like 5 years down the road, if it doesn't become a hotel, it could become something else. Okay.
Yes, ma'am, after going through the same review
But it
process.
has to go through the review process.
Same
Yes.
exact process, start
Right.
to finish.
Thank you.
I asked a question that's been asked a lot of us is, the city of Travelers Rest, is there or what would be the burden to our city for having the green space in the park? That's a great concept and I love it, but as far as keeping up with that, I know we could negotiate the 10 years, but let's say it's 20 or 30. That being said, is there or what would there be a taxpayer burden on us?
Councilmember Morant, at the moment, you do have that period of time given the revenue projections. Of course, if you don't meet the projections, you have a budget, and the way that the development agreement reads, that budget is agreed upon with the developer and the city for that initial 10-year review. The budget could be looked at, but I would imagine that the city would keep all of our parks to the standards that we keep everything else, which would be a Class A, top-notch standard. So you're looking at basic trails and sidewalk maintenance, tree limbing, a lot of things that we do in our other spaces.
Hey, can I just say, our parks, the one that we own and we maintain, go look at those, and I think it's a pretty high standard. Thank you.
So I would add to that, in the beginning, the construction costs do not fall to the city. Those are paid for by the developer and/or the payment and performance bond. Then, should the hotel not perform at the revenue projections that would meet the budget of the park, and I would imagine that budget would be, since we do have a seat at the table, align with what we think is a reasonable revenue projection, then the city would potentially pick up, maintenance costs. At the end of whatever period you agree to with the developer, by the end of the process, the city would pick that up as a city park, and it would fall into our inventory. Hospitality tax, local accommodations tax could go to parks, could be utilized, but, otherwise you look at general fund revenues, just as we do with any of our other parks.
So the 2% voluntary fee goes off after 10 years so that we won't have the revenue to help maintain it after 10
Councilmember Lane,
years.
that is how the development agreement currently reads.
And we have, as a city, have the control over what that park actually looks like when it comes to design also, correct?
Councilmember Baumgartner, that is, per the development agreement, that is worked out with the developer and the city. We have an equal say in that. We come to an agreement upon that, mutually agreed upon is how the language reads.
When you think about the parks, what is the typical patrol of the police in the parks areas? And thinking about the public park and the almost 20 acres and the hiking trails and.
I might look to Chief, who's probably not prepared to participate tonight.
In the back corner.
Thank you, Chief.
So kind of along the same lines, as far as the public safety goes for fire, there's been a lot of questions about access of water, water pressure, our capability with height to take care of the hotel in general. Can we kind of get a preview of what our standards are on that?
Councilmember Mara, that's a great question as well, and I can tell you that in the initial review, as we would do going through the basic planning process, we have had our fire staff at the table, fire marshal and fire chief. If we would like to ask specific questions of them, I'm not technically sound enough to answer those.
Not a fire
But they have, indicated on the initial review of the plans that they meet our expectations in order to deliver service.
And you feel like we have the truck and the access equipment to get to it and to take care of it?
Chief, I did want to ask you also, because there's been some concern about access on the road. There are only 4 turns all the way up there to get up to the actual inn itself. Are there plenty of room to get these trucks around those curves to get up there to that spot?
Chief, should we switch with you and Mr. Patel?
Yeah, so if you want to
Sorry,
take a seat.
you can take a
that's
break.
fine, yeah.
Chief, you want to come up? Yeah.
Chief Mack's like, no.
Yeah.
Altamont Road, like any mountain road, does have its special problems. Being able to get trucks, big trucks up through there. We've had a couple of fires up there that we were actually the automatic aid to. It's in Duncan Chapel Fire District now. When you start getting a lot of trucks in there, as in any mountain road, it gets tight. We had a structure fire up there with them. Once you get a hose line on the ground, nobody's going in, nobody's going out. You can have that in any subdivision that we have. As far as the ladder truck getting in, our ladder truck would be able to get in and out of there. If they can get an 18-wheeler in there to service something, we can definitely get in there. But also, too, when you get into the final things, we make sure, like with any of our subdivisions or anything like that, there's adequate space to turn. They'll have to give us access.
Can I ask about your ability to respond to emergencies in the park with the steep 12 to 15% grade? If there is an issue in the park, can you respond?
Most issues that we would probably have in the park are going to be medical issues and maybe a grass fire, possibly a car fire, whatever. We do have a vehicle that's capable of making that area. Also, too, we run automatic aid with other departments that have the same type vehicle. So we can put more vehicles than just ours in that park if we have to. Initially, it is our responsibility. And yes, we do have a truck right now that we can get in there. We just have to look at where you can get a full-size pumper into it or whatever. But like I said, the roadways are going to have to be wide enough to get in and out. It being one way in, one way out, some people may be blocked in for a while we're doing something, but we should be able to get in.
There was a car accident in Altamont again today. Will we be responsible for the car accidents on Altamont Road if we annex this property, or will that still be
We'd have to look and see where the annexation line is.
Okay.
If it's the roadway's annexed into it, then yes, we would. But if not, then it would still fall within the county.
Did we get that call today for automatic aid?
We did not. It was a vehicle accident, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, Duncan Chapel was perfectly capable of handling that without anybody else. Absolutely.
I had a question for Shannon, but I don't want to, any more for Mac? You can sit down, Mac. It's okay. Shannon, you know one of our values is on connectivity, and so I'm curious on when you think about the location for this, how you kind of see the vision of connecting. Is it to the Swamp Rabbit Trail, or, as we thinking down the frontage road? I was just curious your thoughts on that.
Thank you, Mayor Amadon. We have put a fair amount of thought into what the potentials for connectivity would be should this come to fruition. The agreement allows for connectivity to city infrastructure, specifically to work on that connectivity should this come into the city, into city sidewalks and bike lanes. We are getting ready to take on Poinsett Park, and there's a great concern, regardless of this project, of how to make that park relevant and connected with the rest of our infrastructure. We are looking at a multimodal lane opportunity coming up to and behind the 25 development, up behind Starbucks, up to Little Texas Road. SCDOT has already initially designed a pedestrian crossing at Pinestone. We think that's critical regardless of what happens here at this project. We think it's critical to begin to connect those two pieces of TR that are separated by the major Highway 25. And so the opportunity, if this project were to go forward, is to then continue that connection down into the back of Furman and this parcel and the nature preserve that would be there. So we do see the opportunity to create connectivity. It does not currently exist. Let me not be misunderstood on that. It does not currently exist. But the development agreement does allow for that public amenities contributions to work towards that as well.
I would like,
Councilor Guy, sorry. Who's got it?
I have a question for Mr. Patel. Back to the road from Old Buncombe up to the park. That's a very narrow strip. It crosses deep ravines and gullies. It's exceptionally steep, and there are 3 headwaters to the Reedy River. How are you going to mitigate all of that to create a road that's actually passable for people on bicycles and in cars?
Yep, so if you look at the natural resources inventory that we submitted in the annexation request, you'll find that there is one ravine that would be needed to be tackled on the way up. That ravine does have a 40-foot stretch, a sub 100-foot stretch of water. It does not trail beyond that 100 feet, but we currently plan to just avoid that by an inverted culvert crossing. It would not have any wetland impacts. The second ravine currently that's there would be shown in our walking trails, so there would be no impervious impact to those wetland space, just clearing of some narrow pathways to be able to accommodate pedestrian access.
Okay, so on your plan, it looked like parking was directly over one of them.
Again, if we're looking at the natural resources inventory that showed the wetlands delineated, you'll find that it does not impact the parking. I believe you're referencing the blue lines that show up on the GIS map when you look up the Greenville County currently. Those are not in fact found on our natural resources inventory by our wetlands consultant. You'll also see that in I'm sorry, Mr. Martin had a great resource to be able to find the true wetlands by way of a national association, but the National Association will also concur that the other blue lines do not actually exist.
Okay.
All right, I'll give a long, awkward silence and make sure we're all good.
I have some comments.
Okay, go ahead. Yep.
Okay, feel free to, it's not a question for you. Thank you so much. Okay, so I've been thinking about this very deeply. I've been reading all the emails that people provided, and so I have some comments that I'd like to share with you today. As a council member, I believe in the power of community voices and the importance of transparency in decision-making. That's why in 2019, on September 25th, I emailed the city administrator to request an amendment to our ordinance that would require neighborhood meetings for big projects before a public hearing. I wanted to make sure residents had the opportunity to be informed and be involved early in the process. So on December 19th, 2019, all the city council members at that time agreed, and we passed ordinance number 19-19, which required neighborhood meetings for proposed rezonings and major subdivisions. Then and now, we have a wonderful council and an exceptional city staff. Thank you so much. So why did I tell you that to talk about Altamont Inn? What does it have to do with Altamont Inn? I say everything. Because of this ordinance, the community learned about this proposal months before the April 24th public hearing. That early awareness gave you time to organize, share your expertise, ask important questions, and speak not just as individuals, but as a united voice. It showed that when neighbors are informed, communities are empowered, and empowered communities shape our collective future. Throughout this process, I've listened thoroughly, reading everyone's email. I believe I've responded to everybody's email, attending events, and weighing all the perspectives shared. In many of the replies I've written, I value your input, and I'm committed to listening, conducting thorough research, and considering all key factors to make an informed decision. I don't say that lightly. I mean it. This decision is not simple. It involves trade-offs, long-term impact, and our vision for the future. Let's start with what this proposal offers. The Altamont Inn would bring economic activity. It would create jobs and attract visitors, adding to regional tourism momentum that we have. Many residents have suggested that the hotel be built somewhere else. I support that idea, but let's be honest. As a city, we can't point to a piece of land and tell the landowner what to build. We can't force landowners to build things. That's why it takes vision and collaboration. So to all those developers and landowners out there, please consider working with Travelers Rest. We would love to have a hotel or other business in city limits that can offer over 100 livable wage jobs like they're proposing with this hotel. Let's be intentional, not just about where we build, but why we build. The goal isn't just development, it's an opportunity that reflects the values that we hold dear. Now, let's evaluate the risk of this proposal. Safety is a concern. We know there's narrow winding roads, bicycle safety, emergency response access, stormwater runoff and erosion, potential light and noise pollution that could change the mountain's character. But we also must consider the intent behind the environmental sensitive district for Paris Mountain. This zoning exists to protect, not just to regulate. So I want to urge us to ask ourselves some bigger questions. Should we stop building on Paris Mountain altogether, including residential and homes? Should we focus on planting more trees to restore the landscape and soften the visual impact of the existing development that is there now that I can see very clearly from many parts of town? Should we strengthen protections for wildlife, like the blue ghost fireflies that one of the constituents has written to me a lot, and invest in long-term conservation strategies? Now, I want to talk about the parcels. We have the upper parcel and the lower parcel. So let's talk about the upper parcel first. Even if this hotel is denied, the land can still be developed. About 20 homes could be built under the current zoning. That brings a new challenge. How do we ensure that residential development doesn't create just as much harm as a hotel? We must demand the highest environmental standards, limit clear cutting, preserve native species and habitats, manage stormwater responsibly, protect fragile ecosystems unique to this mountain. This isn't about stopping growth, it is about smart growth. Development that honors the land and meets the real needs of people who call this area home. To me, that includes inclusionary zoning policies so that any future housing built on this parcel reflects a range of all income levels and allows more people the opportunity to live near and enjoy the beauty of Paris Mountain. Preserving environmental integrity and expanding access should go hand in hand. Now, let's consider the lower parcel of the land. I've been told under the current zoning, a developer could feasibly and practically build 250 apartment units on that land. That is a significant potential impact, raising important questions about density, infrastructure, and long-term character of the area. As part of the proposal, the land would permanently be protected as a public nature reserve, protected from development. That is meaningful. Green space at the base of Paris Mountain could provide long-term environmental and recreational benefits for the entire community. But I have even a bolder idea, if you'd like to listen. So, could our neighbors, nonprofit organizations, conservation groups, and public partners come together pooling their money, energy, and ideas to raise the funds needed to purchase more land on Paris Mountain for permanent green space and public use? That kind of collaboration would allow us to protect the land without tying it to a single development project and open the door to more thoughtful, long-term strategies for both parcels. It could be a powerful example of what community-led, people-centered planning can accomplish and a lasting gift to generations to come. There's one other layer to this conversation that I would like to add. Beyond zoning and site plans, I've heard thoughtful concerns about the history of the development around Altamont Road and the ways access to the mountain has at times felt limited and exclusionary. If a community can come together with this level of passion and organization to save Paris Mountain, can we also bring that same energy to the people who live in the shadows of Paris Mountain? What would it look like if we rallied just as strong as people have been doing for months around affordable housing, public transportation, and access to good jobs? These are the issues that shape daily life for so many people in our community. I'm asking you to please use the same power that you have exhibited over the last few months to drive lasting change on the mountain and beyond. So, after listening for months, during research and heavy reflection, I've considered every perspective and weighed every detail, and this decision was not easy, but I've made it with honesty, respect, and a deep commitment to our city's future. So at this time, based on all the information that I have, I will be voting no tonight.
Guys, I told you not to clap. Don't do that, guys. Come on now. Let's be good. Let's be good.
Chief.
Thank you,
All
Shanice.
right.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Shanice.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
I
It's
do
open
have
for
a
all.
few words to share about the perception of this in a ultimate development project also. Unfortunately, in an attempt to persuade council and sway public opinion, citizens in our community have been intimidated into signing petitions and accosted in businesses by people that are outside influences coming into our city. This attempt to involve themselves in the workings of this issue of city business is disappointing. Even people simply visiting our city have been subjected to these strong-arm waves while visiting our TR Farmers Market and even just strolling along Main Street. In all my years on council, I have never been subjected to the sad display of negative activity I've had to endure and watch as our town and residents have been harassed with lies and half-truths. My colleagues and I, as well as businesses interested in partnering in this project, have been called names, been subjected to lies, even falsely accused of financial impropriety. This is just wrong in the city of Travelers Rest. Allow me to set the record straight with simple, complete, and non-biased facts and truth of this project. Annexation. Contrary to a narrative out there, annexation does nothing to increase the salary of any council person or boost the mayor's wage. Annexation is a way for city to grow its tax base. Council member or mayor salaries are not determined by the footprint or size of a city. Rather, each council around the state is paid according to the rates determined by the individual council and is usually set by ordinance. Salaries are also determined by the type of government the city is using, as is defined in this charter of the city. Annexation has no play in the financial salary of any council member anywhere. In fact, annexation is a court-recognized right granted by state law of a city to grow its tax base. Increasing the tax base in this way can and often does allow city governments to increase budgets without the need to raise property tax millage. Annexation requires the property owner to abide by all city ordinances which overrule any county zoning ordinance or resolution. Facts about the county ESDPM environmentally sensitive district. Yes, it is a designation along Altamont Road, but it is far short of being environmentally friendly. No wording in the ordinance speaks to define the natural landform, landscape, or any existing plants. The designation does nothing to protect the environment. This argument of invading the environmentally sensitive area term has been taken way out of context, as this ESD designation in no way speaks to preserving any plants or trees or animals. It does not define landscape plantings or design. No protecting the natural landform definition is given. Section 8:5 is defining the quote density unquote, which is the number of residential units that may be constructed per acre anywhere in this zone, or the ability to turn on or off of Altamont Road. At no point in this section does it refer to any environmental language relating to plants or trees or landscaping or living animals. It has nothing to do with being sensitive to the environment. Additionally, the inn will be set off the road by an entrance lane driving into the facility. The facility won't be visible from the road. It will not be lit up like an airport landing strip. It has to fit into the current restrictive Travelers Rest lighting ordinance. It will stand 60 feet high from the rear ground elevation of the bottom floor. That height is currently just slightly above the surrounding tree line. The trees will continue to grow taller. The inn will not. Also, there is no development fee in lieu of, fee-low trade-off in this agreement. The city will collect full ad valorem taxes, hospitality and accommodations tax, and business license fees. The developer is giving 19.54 acres for a dedicated nature preserve to the city for the city park inventory. This area is deed restrictive and for passive recreation and perpetuity. The inn will collect a fee from room guests and event rentals for the permanent maintenance of the city-owned nature preserve. This is a single construction development project which restricts the sprawl of development on the mountain into only one project, which protects the environment of the mountain. TR zoning requirements and flexible review district classifications are more restrictive in design and building standards than current county zoning. The project is on the lower 1/3 of the mountain. It's not on top. The project will sit on only 10 acres, which includes the parking. Per the TR tree ordinance, trees cut down will have to be replaced and replanted with financial compensation back to the city. The commission traffic study shows this project will not impact local intersection traffic. This establishes the first and only.
Please,
Yeah.
Come on. Guys, this is our meeting. You need to be respectful, okay?
Last warning.
Don't make our chief upset. Get it together, people. We're adults.
This establishes the first and only North Greenville County Inn Lodge with lodging rooms and indoor and outdoor space for business retreats, events, meetings, celebrations, all including a ballroom, dining, and spa availability. It makes TR a destination for business meetings, events, business retreats needing banquet facilities, meeting space, and entertainment, and overnight rooms. The developer is local and established with personal ties to and interests in the Greenville area. The developer already owns all the property involved and could choose a large subdivision or luxury condos or apartment project, causing a much larger environmental and mountain impact. The current county ESD-PM zoning is for residential use, not for commercial construction. It has inferior tree protection. It does not allow any underground water detention for the property's storm water retention. A land disturbance permit is not required, meaning clear cutting is allowed. The county has a poorly defined lighting standard, and this ESD-PM does not protect the mountain landscape, plants, or trees, or wildlife. In no way am I saying this is a perfect project. No project at its inception is perfect. Every previous construction or development project that the city has done or been involved with has been filled with compromise and review during the planned development process. That's the purpose of this city flexible review district zoning classification, to not only give the developer some latitude in the development project, but to also give the city greater control over the end product. Developers and contractors that petition the city to complete a project in or ask for FRD zoning classification are aware that they are subjecting themselves to greater scrutiny in their development and construction and building requirements. The overall scope and intent of this project meets the parameters that we as City Council have given to our staff for economic development within the city. The benefits to the city of TR and the entire northern Greenville County area to have a hotel, including lodging and banquet and meeting facilities, is one of a kind. Nowhere between Greenville and Nashville is a venue like this to this scale. Not to mention the developer is local and interested in investing in his own home area rather than an outside developer from somewhere out of the area or some other state with no ties to the community here. This entire inn and Altamont development project stands on its own merits. I will be voting in favor of the project.
let me say real quick, thank you, Grant. And there's been two by the chief, one by mayor. This is a committee meeting open to the public, but there is no public input here. And Shanice finally laid out the opportunities that we've had. We will be voting as committee whether or not we move this thing forward, please. All right? Thank you.
I would like to say some words. From the start, I have been really open and honest about my concerns with this project. And I had hoped through this process that some of my concerns would be lessened with clarity from staff or concept revisions from this developer, or maybe I misunderstood some part of the proposal. But sadly, details and feedback on some important aspects of this project have come to light that not only affirmed my initial concerns, but given me even greater concern. I have too many doubts for a project that could potentially change the face of Paris Mountain forever. Too many doubts on a project this big and this risky. We haven't gotten clear answers on a lot of things: parking, traffic impacts, stormwater runoff, sewer. There are too many red flags. This project does not fit our comprehensive plan. It doesn't connect. It doesn't make our streets safer or our sidewalks safer. It does not align with the goals and priorities set forth by this body in multiple planning sessions. It's wrong to put a commercial development inside a residential zone. FRD zoning is wrong for a commercial resort. It's wrong to ignore the environmental concerns. It's wrong to ignore the countless legitimate experts who have expressed serious concerns about this project. And I'm not talking about those who are online on Facebook pages. I'm talking about those professional career engineers, architects, environmental scientists, accountants, and analysts who took a deep dive into this proposal and provided important considerations that still have not been addressed. But worse still, it's wrong to ignore our neighbors within our city limits and beyond. This decision will impact all of us. I have tracked every response and call and email and text that I have received personally about this project. And our citizens here in Travelers Rest agree this is wrong. It's not just people living on the mountain or people in other parts of the county. The vast majority of those that I have heard from do not want this. The benefit does not outweigh the cost. The damage to the environment, the damage to the goodwill of our community is not worth it. We do not need to do this. When you vote on this, please consider what the overwhelming and clear response has been from the members of our community, and think about the many concerns that have been raised. I am grateful for this opportunity. I am grateful for the project and our city staff who have brought it to us. And I look forward to additional and new projects that make sense. But I request that you oppose passing this on to council.
Thank you, Catherine. Anyone else?
I'll just, Crute, thank you again for bringing this project forth to us. You have been so generous and accommodating and proven that you're willing to compromise. And I really do believe that there are a lot of compelling aspects of your project, and I am truly honored that you brought it before the city. I've said to many of you in my conversations when you all have actually asked for time together that we are all on the same team. We all want a safe, vibrant community to live in and to call home. And so I am really grateful for how you all have engaged and spoken your minds and come forth with information that have helped us make our decisions. And as many have addressed here, there's been a lot of unkindness in those conversations as well. And this will not be our last time that we have an issue or project brought before us. So I hope that we can continue to keep this conversation going and that we can remain having open dialogue and that we can move forward with a little bit more kindness in our next conversations. You all have brought forth many valid concerns about the state of Altamont Road. Please, I encourage you to keep talking to your state and county representatives and get those issues fixed. I believe that we can do that, and I hope you all continue talking to your neighbors and engaging with one another, and that you all go home and put your land in conservation easements. There's a lot of great organizations who would be happy to help you with that. Several of them are in the third row here. Okay, that is all. Thank you.
I want to say too, just a couple, like, when this goes back to being the same 3 people in this room that are here every single committee meeting, this is not a win or a loss, no matter how this goes, right? That we appreciate all the input, and, you know, this has come before the city, and other things will come before the city. I personally believe we need to strategically annex and make Travelers Rest a lot bigger because of all the little articles that are out here about how great this place is. So, you know, that will come. And, you know, I just want to say, like, stay involved. I mean, you know, this is another thing. We appreciate the involvement. But again, you can see with your own eyes how ugly this has been. And so I will double back down and say the Mayor Amadon, Randy Amadon, has taken the blunt of this, again, negative, I want to say negative, feedback, whatever you want to call it, out of bounds stuff. The mayor's had to deal with a lot. Many of you don't even know who I am. I'm not like Dr. Chris. I did not respond to every email. I will say that again. I didn't write anything down. But the mayor, be kind to the mayor. Jeez Louise. TR is a great place to live. There, I've also
Thank
said
you,
all I need to say.
I appreciate it. You could clap for that.
No, you can't.
Yeah,
No, you can't.
just
Do not clap for that.
I'm just
No, I'm
kidding.
just kidding.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Wayne, I'm sorry.
Thanks, Brantley. You know, believe it or not, out of all this group here, I'm probably the most outspoken one here. I've had to dial it back real a lot. I mean, a lot. You know, I could almost hear the pipes and the drums going off right now. This kind of reminds me of that 9th grade civics class that we all had, about how it really works, about how the process works, about how our government, how it really does work. You know, we all have our opinion, and let me say this. Let me back up to say this. Each one of you guys, I know a lot of you. I don't know a lot of you as well, but I appreciate the fact of what you guys have done. I don't have to agree with you on every point, but as long as you believe, as long as you really believe in what you're doing, I'm for you. I'm with you all the way, and that's a bet. It's kind of like Abraham Lincoln said, whatever you do, be a good one. Be a good one. But, you know, I'm going to tell you how Travelers Rest used to be. I've lived here my whole life. There's only 3 of us on this council that's actually lived here for our whole life. Everybody else has moved in here, just like many of you. I don't even want you to raise your hands because I know the room will be full of people that have moved in here from other places. You know, that's very true. And the whole thing about it is, I was born and raised here. I didn't have a choice. You guys did. You chose to live here. You chose to live amongst us. Let me tell you how it used to be. Right around the corner up here, where the used to be Monkey Wrench Smokehouse, it's now going to be Tipsy Taco. That was a place when I was a little boy. There was no Home Depot. There was no Lowe's. We had Stokes Farnham Hardware. And you also had Stokes Farnham Insurance, who my wife was a junior partner of before the business was sold. So I remember as a little boy going in that store with my mother, and we didn't have, our washing machine was broke. My dad died when I was 2 years old. I was raised by a wonderful single mother. She goes into this store to buy a washing machine. Well, we kind of had to take what was available, and my mom she worked for J.P. Stevens. She worked in a mill for 42 years and raised the mayor of this town. And going in that store, Mr. Roy Farnham was an older man. He wore like a gray sweater all the time. Hubert Stokes was a little short, round-faced, red, kind of ruddy man. Always looked like he was about to explode. But my mother, to get this washing machine, she didn't have the money to pay for the entire washing machine. And so she told Mr. Farnham, she said, I'm going to pay you what I have, and then I'll pay you the rest. She said, oh, no, we're going to, she said, no, that's the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to pay you what I have now, and I'll pay you the rest. And so to make a long story short, after we went and paid our phone bill and went and got some groceries and whatnot on our way home, coming out of our driveway was Mr. Roy Farnham. Had been in our house and took the old washing machine out and put the new one in. That's the kind of people that this town is made up of and has been for years. Now, all these people on this council, all the other 8 people here, I know they don't know it a lot of times, and they don't see it from me because I'm former military and I spent over 30 years at a federal agency. 40 plus years of my life I've been dealing with the federal government. I love these people dearly. I love every one of them very dearly. And I can tell you this from experience, from being for 22 years. Grant and I have been here for over 20 years. Brandy has been here now over 16 years on this council. Shanice and Brantley have been here for 8 years. And so it's not like it just kind of popped up and here we are. But these are some of the finest people that you will ever have the opportunity to meet in your life. And if you won't clap now, I'll let you clap there. But I'm going to tell you, these are some great people.
No, they're not.
And you know,
Don't listen to him.
and to kind of bring about what I haven't responded to every email, and there's a purpose behind that, but it's like Grant said, there's been some nasty people out there. There's been some people that have been very, very, very hateful, especially to Brandy and Brantley, and they even got on me for something that happened 13 years ago. You know? So I want to call you out on that. I want to call you out on that. I want to put you in check. You know? If that's you, if that doesn't involve you, just ignore what I've got to say. But people, it doesn't matter. You need to realize nobody up here is taking any money. Nobody up here is getting rich. Nobody up here is doing anything unethical. We have an ethics commission that we are responsible for, that we have to go before every year. And so, again, just let me say that. I want you to understand the history of this town. I want you to understand what good leadership that this town has. Everybody up here at least has a degree. Some have advanced degrees. Everybody up here is either owns a business or is a CEO or is somebody that is very high up in major national companies. So you've got good, honest people here. And again, let me tell all of you again, let me reiterate the fact that I appreciate you taking a stand. I really appreciate it. However it comes out, it's going to come out. You know, you have to choose which hill you die on. So thank you guys for everything. Thank you the ones that have been generous and kind. I mean, I got a few new friends out of this deal. And so just remember, you catch a lot more flies with honey than you do vinegar any day.
Amen, brother.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Wayne. All right.
I would like to speak
Yes.
if I could, but I wish I had spoke before Wayne did.
Oh, well, I apologize.
No, I can't compete with that. So mine's going to fall flat after that. I don't have a speech prepared. I don't get a vote tonight. I just want to thank you all for coming out. Thank you. I have not responded to all your emails, kind of like Brantley. Like, there were a lot of the same emails over and over, and I just didn't have the time or capacity to do that. But I just want to thank you all for the emails. You all have come out in force. You show what community working together, what it can do, and just realize, like, going forward, we are your neighbors, and just love your neighbor, be kind to your neighbor, our mayor, our staff, you know, they have gotten a lot of hate and a lot of kind of pushback, and they are doing their job that they are to do for the city of TR to bring development and stuff into TR. We are doing our job with the planning committees. The planning commission did their job. The planning committee tonight will do their job with their vote. If it comes to city council, then I will have a vote at that time. I do share a lot of the same concerns as Catherine. And if I were on the committee, would be voting no tonight as well. I do also agree with Shanice. Y'all have come together and organized. If this stays in county, organized. Make sure you do have tree ordinances. That land is developed respectfully, keeping the environment protected and all that. And just realize if it does stay in county, what goes forward, that, you know, talk to your county council members on that. So, but I appreciate you all coming. I appreciate the kind emails and all the information that you're able to provide in such a short period of time and what you all were able to do, and I appreciate that. And have made new friends too, so, thanks.
Thank you, Lisa. Or better than that, run for county council.
Yeah, no, good,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay, give the last word to committee members. I think we've heard from everyone. Anyone on committee before we have a vote? Brant, Mr. Mayor, you good? All right, you've heard the motion. We've got a second. All planning and development committee members in favor of moving the motion to council, please raise your hand. Thank you. All right, moving on. All opposed? Yes, let's do that. All opposed to moving it forward to full council. Thank you. Okay. Anyone on committee have anything just for the good of committee before we see a motion to adjourn? Thank you, everybody, for your comments and feedback.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
So to be clear, that did not pass, so it will not move forward to city council.
Correct.
I would like to say, very much appreciate to Mr. Patel and the Divine Group and Mr. Smith. You guys went above and beyond to make a proposal that was a benefit to the city of Travelers Rest and have been a gentleman the whole time, so we appreciate that.
Agreed.
And then I also echo, our staff has worked so incredibly hard on making this the best it could possibly be for the city. Shannon Herman, our city administrator, and Jay, who's somewhere around here, our planning director, Carson, our chiefs, they really work really hard for the city of Travelers Rest, and so I appreciate that very, very much. So,
Totally agree.
all right, we'll move on to our Ways and Means Committee. Chair Baumgartner.
I call the Ways and Means Committee to order. Myself, Kelly Byers, Lisa Lane, Wayne McCall, and Brantley Vest are all present. Do I have a motion to approve the April 7th Ways and Means Committee minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. We have that. We have no other business before us outside of just reminding council that next Monday, a week from today at 5 o'clock, we will be back in these chambers to have a Ways and Means Committee meeting for the next year budget presentation. Anything else before council right now, before Ways and Means right now? I hear a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
Old business, we have none. New business, we have none. Miscellaneous matters, we have our administrative update. Shannon, you got anything for us?
Thank you, Mayor Almadan. I do. We kicked off our concert series this past weekend. That was a success. Thank you so much to Beth for all of the hard work of coordinating that, and it's fun to see everybody out and about. This Friday, May 9th, we have the unveiling of our Beyond the Borough painted rabbits, which is very exciting for the city. Also, a reminder that we have Jeep Jam upcoming with the Chamber of Commerce, May 18th.
All right, does anyone on council have anything for the good of council? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for coming.
Chief, get them. Tell them. Us. Keep quorum in our court.
All right.
Hey, nice to meet you. You look just like Matt. Or he looks like you. Yes, yes.